Tom. Hello, this is Michael Berg. This is my brother Andrew Berg, and welcome to another season of Fantasy Football. We hope to continue this podcast after we had great success last year. Before we begin with all the transactions that took place and we talk about all the rosters, once again, we like to congratulate Pedro Smash Mouth on winning the Super Bowl, the first of his...
Boo!
Be careful, Tom, about what you say.
If anyone's noticed Pedro's big trophy running around, it will be found momentarily.
Yes, that's right. We know we have a lot of people who are anxious actually to win that trophy once again this year. So I will turn it over to Andrew, who will start and talk about this year's draft.
Okay, before we do that, we just want to break down how we're going to do the podcast. Remember, last year people talked to me about the preseason podcast, telling how it's too long. Well, we cannot help the length of the preseason podcast. What we're going to do is we're going to break it down into certain parts. So this is part one. Part one, we're going to talk about the draft recap, the state of the league, and the recent blockbuster trade that occurred. Then part two, we're going to do the AFC division. Part three will be the NFC. Part four will be the XFC. And we'll maybe do the team and we'll maybe break down week one as well. We'll do this in certain parts, so you can click if you don't care who's going to win the AFC. You don't have to listen to it. So with that in mind, let's talk a little about the State of the Union. Mike, how'd you like the new rule changes this draft?
Well, there were a lot of mixed results. I think about the new draft rule that actually took place as far as drafting drafting certain players. Each team would have the opportunity to draft one player with every 12th pick. I mean, there was a lot of talk about it around the league of having that particular rule change that was voted on. A lot of people actually like this rule being implemented. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is this is the first draft where picking out of the hat really didn't mean much to me because of the lack of suspense that came with it. But right now people like the well-oiled machine and like the predictability. Maybe they'll feel differently next year. But for now, it is what it is, and we're looking forward to a fun year regardless of who's happy or unhappy with the draft.
I think a lot of people love the flex position idea. It's going to create a lot more points for this league. A lot of different options we could actually use for the flex position, the tight end, the wide receiver, the running back. It adds a new, different type of strategy to our league, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that.
It rewards the deeper teams who draft much deeper and draft better. This way, if you have three great running backs, you can use all three of them now. I think that will definitely improve the league and take a little more pressure off having the best offense and defense in the league. Not that ever helps you winning anyway, right, Ben? Also, the last rule we changed is the nuclear option, which I think is pretty exciting. I don't have much to say about it this year because it's about 2 years away from the nuclear option, but I think it's a great idea.
A lot of people thought that would be the Peyton Manning rule that he actually brought up when Peyton Manning actually retires. He gets the opportunity to revamp his entire squad.
Probably is, but maybe we've all been holding on to players too long. I've not had Drew Brees for long enough. Maybe it's time to shake things up a little.
Even Steve got rid of Ray Rice. He's had him since the inception when he actually first started.
Yes,
and I still continue to have Baltimore's defense.
Yes, maybe good fortune will be the teams who just have to finally let go of some of their weaker options that they keep. Well, let's talk about the draft, Mike. What did you think of round one?
I thought it was very, very interesting. Everybody had a pick within the first round. 1 through 12. A lot of people had the opportunity to draft early. It was interesting that Tom actually selected Jimmy Graham, number one. Not that I have any problems with Jimmy Graham. I guess maybe he wanted it more because he felt it was going to be off the board considering when he was actually drafting next.
Exactly.
About 23 picks down the road, that will happen when you get the bad part of the snake. 22 picks, you have to wait for his next pick.
I don't think you can really call this a snake.
I can call it a snake because
I call it bullshit. That's what I call it.
Pause it. I'm sorry.